Welcome back to Horrifically Well Read, Bled, and Said. We are so excited today to talk to you to talk to David Simmons, author of Fetty on the Switches, a amazing short story collection that is coming June 30th from Clash Books. Welcome, David, to the pod.
Yo, thank you for the introduction. How y'all doing, man? I'm glad to be on here with y'all.
We are very excited. And I got to tell you, like, as soon as I saw the title and the cover for this collection, I was like, yes, please give me this. So, for our listeners that are unprepared, what can they expect from this collection from you?
Well, I feel like, in today's society, you got to give somebody immediately what they're looking for. And like, it's called Fetty on the switches. Fetty is slang for fentanyl. Switches is a device you put on a gun to make it fire automatically. So I'm kind of letting you know it's a short story collection in the horror genre that's got a lot of dope and guns and bad things in it, you know?
Absolutely, and you deliver immediately, I have to
Thank you.
say. Anytime, your work comes up, I think that, it kinda starts with Baltimore. Baltimore is a character, the culture, everything going on, around that city is such a huge part of your work. How do you feel like Baltimore has influenced not just your work, but you as a person?
Well, I like to tell people that like I was really I like to tell people that was my Castle Rock, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how has it influenced me? This is an unusual place to live. It's a beautiful place to live, but it's also very different from other places I've been to, traveled to, and lived. So I know it's different personally, not just from like what people tell me when they visit out of town.
Mhm.
But I would say Baltimore influences me because I believe in writing what I know and authenticity in art. So I really try to stick with what I know as far as like place and people. You know what I mean? So,
So
yeah.
we live about 45 minutes,
North of
maybe
Baltimore,
45
yep.
miles north of Baltimore. So then I don't know if you go what, maybe another 20 miles, it's 25 miles, it's Washington, DC.
Yeah.
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 The difference between those two cities, even though you would think like you could group that whole area geography, it's like absolutely not. And I think you're right. Like Baltimore just has its own feel. And obviously there's so many like sections within there too. There's been so many different, like I think even popular series that have come out of there, and namely like The Wire and like Drew Hill came from that. Even some of the stuff with the Serial podcast.
Adnan side, yeah.
Yeah. So I
Mhm.
mean, it's been talked about a lot, but I feel like your take on Baltimore and writing what you know really comes through. It was really enjoyable to read.
Well, thank you. And I try to be careful when I answer that question about how like Baltimore influences me because I have to keep in mind that although I'm somebody who loves a show like The Wire, there are people like my wife who hate The Wire because she feels it represents the worst aspects of Baltimore, right?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
But
makes so much sense though.
so we're very split on that. But see, I guess it's fair to say that from the earliest age, I've always embraced the taboo and what's bad. So I have to be careful when I say this, but Baltimore has a anything goes kind of flow to it, kind of vibe to it. And that kind of lawlessness, not just in the legal, but like in the culture, the social
Mhm.
aspect of it, I love that. And I love to exaggerate that in my writing and be, like, hella hyperbolic about it.
Mm.
Yeah.
But without I'm not trying to make Baltimore sound bad, though, that's the only thing,
No,
I gotta be careful.
I don't think that's it at all, and if you visit, I mean, the pockets and the subdivisions of everything, and I like how you describe that, and I think it's a real interesting intersection of just how it's changing, where for years and years that downtown Inner Harbor was always, like, so tourist focused, and then it started shifting, and then now what they're building, like, big like, high-rise kind of apartments and stuff down there now, and just, like, I go down and, it feels like, okay, there's that section, which I think most people know because they're either going to like the National Aquarium or whatever. But there's so many other sections of Baltimore that I think aren't as explored. And some of the bookstores that they have in the area, like that my friend and I have gone to, it's just like they're so cool. There's so much to be seen and developed. And I don't know. I mean, I just think even too when you're driving and you see like the Natty Bow sign and the Ravens Field and the Orioles Park. I mean,
Domino
Camden Yards.
sugar, all
Yeah,
that,
Dominic
yeah.
Sugar. Like there's just it's a very iconic, very recognizable city.
You know You said the domino sugar sign. You know, one of my friends and one of my favorite writers, J. David Osborne, he was down here for AWP, he said that when he came into Baltimore and he seen the domino sugar sign, he said the city looked like Gotham.
You know what? I can see
Yeah.
that.
There's
So
yeah.
It does
I
have the
feel that.
special feel of Gotham to it, actually. I
Mhm.
think that's a great way to
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah.
I don't think just the look, though, but maybe I don't know, it's like because there's such an intersection of wealth and, like, gentrification, I think that is just and the shifting and changing, which always is difficult to see, I think is the thing I was
Mhm.
kind of calling upon, but are you seeing a lot of that too?
So I've also lived in DC before, right? And sure, gentrification exists in Baltimore, definitely in the area you talked about, the harbor as well as Harbor East and that whole downtown area. However, compared to DC,
Yeah,
which is like completely unaffordable, like
Mhm.
compared to how it was, right? And I just don't think it can even compare because see, in Baltimore, we still have what is it like 33,000 vacant buildings
okay.
and, like, I don't think DC could even have one vacant building for longer than, like, 72 hours, right?
I grew up in Washington, DC, so it was very interesting as people, like,
Well, your best friend, where
when I
you're Michael.
yeah, well, when I'm, like, would ever talk to someone not from there, they often would group, Washington and Baltimore, like, you would just, like, take a bus to Baltimore, like, but they were 2 very different worlds, that didn't intersect very often, like, at all. But definitely when it comes to, like, the gentrification, just how they, destroyed whole neighborhoods to build National Stadium, like, all that kinda stuff that was kinda going on as I was about to move away, like, in the mid-2000s. Definitely, I think that because of what's in Washington, DC, as the seat of government and everything, it kind of affects that as well, but it is yeah, my friend, he lived in an area that when we were growing up and going there, it wasn't bad, like, or anything, but it definitely the corner store had bars on the windows and, had to slip your money through a little bubble to get whatever it is that you're going, and now it's a wine store, and people are walking their little terriers there and stuff, and it's like, "What is this place?"
Yeah. See, that exists in Baltimore, but nowhere to the degree of a place like DC or San Francisco, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's here, but not really, not as
Mhm.
much,
I
not
feel
as
like
much.
Baltimore, like, they're just not gonna tolerate it as much. I feel like
Yeah, that's true.
well, because I think they're more, like, set, like, that's their home, whereas there's so much transition in
Right.
Washington, DC, like, how many
Yeah.
diplomats and
Yeah,
different
when it comes to, like, the areas where people have lived and will live, for generations in DC, like, it's a little bit different. Baltimore, I think, is, like, more of the entire city is more similar to those, like, sections.
And you being from DC, that makes you like one of the rarest creatures in the world, because most people in DC is not even from DC for real.
Well,
They
Can I
from,
just tell you how much Adam that's his pet peeve? Like, he gets
uh,
so vicious about it.
I'm like
I bet you should. You
well,
should.
it's
You
so
should
funny
strike
because even
anybody down.
yeah, when I lived there, it's like, "From DC?" "Oh, me too." "What part?" "Silver Spring." I'm like,
Ah!
that's not DC." "Are you from?" "Arlington." I'm like, what comes after Arlington?" "Virginia." "You're not from DC."
No. Bro, why is it always Silver Spring, Tacoma Park, or like
Hyattsville.
sometimes it'll be Hyattsville too.
We would c after, like, early 2000s, like, '99, when they kind of, like, started gentrifying, DC kind of, at least, like, where I was from, adopted Hyattsville a little bit, like, we would call it, like, the forgotten ward, basically, because
Uh,
so many people moved from, like, those places in Anacostia and stuff that
That were,
they
like,
were tearing down
traditional
and moved to
DC.
Hyattsville, and everybody's grandparents lived in Hyattsville too.
that
That was like the Jeffersons moving on up was to move to Hyattsville
that's too
or,
funny.
what was it? Upper Marlboro.
That too, I
Right.
felt like
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
Which is crazy though, dude, because, like, see, I was up in Pennsylvania, like, I'm right over the Maryland line, but we always I had so much family that lived in, like, the Northern Virginia throughout, but, like, a company that I first worked for when I was, like, 16 through, like, 19, we covered all those areas, and I was always, like, dispatching technicians and working down so it was, like, getting to know these crossways and all this different
Mhm.
and it was just like and then
Mhm.
drive down and, like, so it's Evan and I grew up, like, 90 minutes or 90 miles apart from each other. It's like the world's so different even just because there's so much, population in between and the just the feel of the areas are so different.
And
I
even
mean,
so
I'm living solid red,
yeah,
Pennsylvania,
uh-huh,
unfortunately, and then, it's like you
which is like, yeah, the fact that it's so close to Baltimore and DC, but
and
it's
Philly,
so
but it's so red.
yeah,
Yes.
It is that is why when my wife and I talk about if we will ever move from here, it's always just to a bigger house for more space for the kids. It's never like out of Baltimore or
yeah,
maybe like Howard County or some shit like that. But
mhm,
you know what
County
I'm
is
saying?
nice too, yeah.
You feel me? Because it's like I feel like you got everything here. You got the beach, you got and then
Yes,
like you
you
said,
do.
it's so diverse just from like from DC to like Baltimore to like York, Pennsylvania. You
That's
know
where
what
I'm
I'm
at.
saying?
we're in York,
Sure.
Pennsylvania,
Yep.
yeah,
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, so we just
and we both went to
I
University
was
of
just gonna say we
Maryland,
both
so
went to
yeah,
University of Maryland, yes.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
We all local in a way.
but, it's fun because a lot of times when we have authors on, we don't
yeah,
actually but yeah,
definitely.
I felt like so much of this came through, and I will say the one of the things that I thought was the funniest is Adam is, like, the smartest person
And this is
I
okay, we're getting into
a
a
story here,
a
so
section from Eradicator,
he's,
yes.
like, the
Okay.
smartest person I know, like, if whenever we get, like, trivia games together, like, he pretty much has to be on his own team for, like, the rest of the people. So and at the end of this month, we'll be married for 20 years, and there's very few things that I can ever say that I
Congratulations.
knew before
Thank
he
you,
knew it. Yeah, and I knew the Cal Ripken story,
Kevin Costner.
and I was like he's like, "Do you even look at that?" At first, I was like, "No shit, I knew that, I knew that," and so I that was wild.
And it's funny
Thank
because
you.
that gets into, like, one of the things to me about your writing that I am obsessed with, which is the way
Thank you.
that, like, you write the way that I
Right
feel
to
like
me, we talk.
we talk and my friends talk. It is like you will have like and I think that section is one of the best, like, things of this because those, like, 3 pages, I don't know if I've ever laughed that hard
Oh my
reading a
god,
book,
yes.
and then the
Thank
very
you.
next page is one of the most disgusting things I've ever read in my life. So, like, obviously, like, humor is a huge part of your books, and, like, I just
You're
love that.
so good at it. You're
Thank you.
so good
Thank
at
you.
it.
That means a lot to me.
It's enjoyable to read. I would equate it to, like, when we first started well, when we first got together, we were reading, like, David Sedaris,
Mhm.
funny, and, like, the Bruce Campbell. This is the type of humor for me where he's, like the way he's, like, you know, his whore wife and just, like, there's so
His
many, like
asshole mouth.
yes, like, he just talks the way I'm like, "This is who I wanna read.
I
This
was
is"
looking, I was like, "Man, I've met a lot of people with some asshole mouths, I swear to God."
exactly. It's so
They be
relatable.
out there.
Yeah, so I mean, your
Thank
adjectives
you.
and then the way you kinda keep coming back at it like that what's that where you just kinda like you're
Callback.
shifting?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
that's
yeah, the
the dozens
playing the dozens on people, yeah,
so
it's like
good.
Thank
but,
you.
one thing that I love when we talk about sections here, so the first story in Fetty on the Switches takes place at Dundalk Middle School. So,
I
people
know.
people that aren't from the area or know the area well,
How
I would
would you
just
describe Dun
well, I would say so many people describe Dundalk as the Florida of Baltimore. So, like, when I think about that, it's like, in the middle of this very diverse, like, area and stuff like that, Dundalk has kept this, like, working class kind of I hate to say it, but white trash.
That's exactly what it's known for though, like, genuinely.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it's known for. They
Yeah.
alright with that.
Like, with a level of pride.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, I love that the opening story takes place here, and, like, the fact that like, this story, I think, is, like, a perfect setup because I feel like on its surface, it's this absurd, insane, like, story of, basically a middle school science dissection that goes really, really bad, but the whole time I'm reading it, I'm like, there is, like, some metaphor and some symbolism here to, like, what it's like to grow up in certain areas and sort of, like, absurd things are happening. You've got, like, this character that is an insanely talented singer, right? And, like, you think about people that are trying to get out of certain places and they have this innate talent, and you're like, whether or not it's going to be actually go somewhere, whereas other people probably would already be in course, would already be singing on stages, places, mixed with this sort of like, these horrible things are happening and people just aren't batting an eye. And I think like it just feels so like real to so many people's experience going to schools like this.
Well, I'm glad you picked up on that, man, because honestly, I mean, I understand what you're saying about like the metaphorical aspect of like the kid who can sing really well and they keep making him sing for things, but
Mhm.
but at the same time he's never gonna make it out. or that area.
Yeah.
And that's why he dies. But Imma tell you, when I wrote the joint, I wasn't even thinking that. That was a real kid that was in, it was in there's this place called Hickey. It's a juvenile detention center in
Mm,
Baltimore. I
mhm.
was there, and there was this kid, and you could give him shit, and he would, like, sing to you. And, like, so, like, that would happen. So that I ain't even think about that shit when I wrote it, but now you making my shit way bigger than it is. Thank you for that.
I
But
love
but
it.
Imma tell you, yo, nah, that was just a kid, and then for real, the whole story, like, a lot of my shit, man, is based on some wild shit that somebody shouldn't have said to me. Like,
Yes.
you shouldn't have said that shit to me, cause now Imma put you in a book. But, like, one time I was in a situation in the workplace, and I work in healthcare when I'm, outside of writing books,
Mhm.
and we was all talking about what type of dissections we had to do when we grew up. I was like, man, I remember in elementary, I had to do some dumb shit like dissect a worm, and then we dissected frogs. And everybody else was like, we dissected frogs. And then the actual doctor was like, well, I had to dissect a cat and a cat's eyeball and a pig's fetus. And I was like, ew, you're fucking gross. And then we moved on to the other people, and out of nowhere, the one female, the one person at the front desk, right? Like there's a dude who worked from Dundalk, but he who's from Dundalk, right? But he wasn't talking to us. So it was the female employee from Dundalk, right?
Yeah.
She just yell out, "When I was in school, we had to dissect crabs," right? And all of us looked at her and we were like, "Nah, yo, that's just eating crabs."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. I think they scammed her whole class.
Oh my god, because, like,
They just made her, like, break the crabs apart to go sell it into somewhere.
pretty
That's what I'm
much.
trying to tell you.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
That's real shit. That's real shit. So then I just take that shit, I mix it together, and then I put some
Mhm.
scary body horror in it to
Yeah.
unnerve you, you know? So
That's so fucking crazy to
I
think
love
that
that.
could be see, like, the way my mind has thought about like, for years, first of all, if someone wants to pick me some crab meat, I will eat it. Picking crabs is an art, first of all,
Yeah.
and there are some people that are so fucking good at it, and if you're not from the Baltimore area, like, anywhere surrounding, you get a bushel of them. You put a tablecloth down, and you get your friends, and you sit around for hours, and you work your fingers in these hard mollusks, these hard shells, and like, it takes you're either gonna enjoy yourself or it's gonna be painful, so but you are really ripping this entire animal apart.
Mm.
Right, like, that is the full dissection if you're gonna eat the crab, and the fact that they just hoodwinked that
Yeah.
class to be like, "You've dissected this," that
Uh-huh.
is absolutely diabolical. That's crazy.
right. Why they make them children do that? Why they make them do that? They was just kids. What
And
they
that
do that for?
detail that you're like that tool that you use to crack them apart that no one knows the name of because no one in Maryland actually uses it, like,
Right,
Big
that's so
facts.
right. Then what were they probably like, "Yeah, everything you find in the middle here, we'll collect that. Just put that in a pile first. We'll collect that
yeah.
at the end." It's like
Label it claw meat.
Why they do that to them children, man? And that's the thing. See, the collection's supposed to give you a little taste of all these different places in Baltimore and even a couple in DC and in the county. And I open it up with Dundalk because I want you to know, that that could happen out there because that shit did happen.
so I was 14 meeting like my one and her family was like meeting my friend and her family was like I don't exactly remember where they were at in Baltimore, but anyway, her older brother, she was like, "Yeah, he's married to a lady from Dundalk," and that was like the first time I ever heard that word, and I was like, "Okay, who is that? Where is that? What am I?" And she was like, Dundalk," and it was like that was my first education of but also, as a side note, have you ever gone to the Benji's Drive-In? Because it's, like, right outside of Dundalk.
Nah, nah, I refuse to go down there. Where I work, we got like multiple locations, like multiple clinics, right? And I don't go like I refuse to go anywhere past Towson. I live in West Baltimore. I'm not
Uh,
going anywhere over there.
there is a really cool drive-in outside drive-in movie theater. They show, like, triple screenings, but it is, like, they're over at,
It's
like,
like the
2, 3 in
biggest
the
screen
morning.
in the
Oh wait, I do know what you're
place
talking
called
about.
Mia.
Yes, and it's when you leave there at night, you're tired as hell, and then we gotta drive home, like,
No, thank you. Yeah, see, The reason I know about that place is my wife keeps saying because we got 3 daughters, right? And she's
They
like,
would love
"We"
it.
right, that's what she's saying. I'm like, "Ew."
There's a playground
No, it
under
is.
the
There's a
screen.
playground. It's
Yep,
really nice for
But
and
you
it's
gotta drive through Dundalk and back to get
I
yep.
there.
know, you do.
Well, it makes me laugh because we have a place in York County. Anybody listening from there right now, I'm sorry, but it's called Spring Grove, and they have a paper processing mill there, so it smells like a old fart every time that you
Yep.
drive through this town, and Dundalk has its distinct scent to it too, I feel like.
And well, that's because they got the shit factory. You know that, right? They got
Yeah.
the
Oh, I did not know
anaerobic.
they had a shit factory.
Yeah, yo, we not hold on, hold on, hold on. For the listeners listening right here, hold up. We not just being discriminatory against like low income white children of the people who worked in the steel mill area.
Yes.
That's not what we talking about. This
Nope.
area has a shit factory. Like
Mhm.
it has the anaerobic digesters. Those are the like
Oh.
big golden eggs. And sometime, and I know this because I know 2 people from Dundalk who have those tattooed on their body.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, oh,
Proud.
okay.
so you see what I'm saying here? So for the listeners listening, I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not making fun. This is how they live. You feel me? This is
Yep,
how they
drive
live.
through, you'll see it.
Yeah.
You'll
By the
see
way,
it.
I wanna harken back to a line I need you to I wrote down a quote from you. I put it in the phone here. "Why you
Yes.
say that shit to me? Now I'm gonna put you in a book.
Yep.
I would like you to put that on a piece of merch, please. I'd
Yeah,
like
that
a
needs to be a
T-shirt. I'd
T-shirt, a
like a
sticker.
sticker."
Yep,
Exactly.
absolutely. People say
Thanks. I
some
like that.
yep, absolutely. So, okay, now that you said that, I have to ask because Block Dookie might be my favorite short story
I
I've
thought
ever
that was your
read.
name in high school.
Yeah, really, they
Thank
call
you.
me that. No, but
A
but
dangerous
seriously
man.
but seriously, after I read this story like 3 times because I loved it so much, and, like, I would put it honestly, this is me not being hyperbolic. You can put this story up there with, like, Shawshank Redemption and the best prison stories. There is so much going on here. I'm assuming you did not meet a giant gall wasp at some point. So where the fuck did this come from?
Man, like, well, a lot of, like I said, a lot of stuff come from real life. Now, see the conversations, like there are some conversations in that story that did happen in real life.
Mhm.
There's but not with a wasp.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is though, like I said, it come from real life. So I was taking my oldest daughter, we were going through a walk through the woods, and we saw these like nasty, like pink, like cranberry looking lumps on these
Yeah.
oak leaves, right? Shit look crazy, like
Yeah.
alien eggs.
Uh-huh.
And
Ew.
they might as well be because that's what a gall wasp is, right?
I'm
They make
itching.
they make them like nasty, like egg looking things that's brown or pink or whatever that's on leaves. And then they come out of them and you know what I'm saying? It's a bug, you know what I mean? So like I saw that and I was like, that's fucking crazy. I want to write a story about that. And there's a press called From Beyond Press, right?
Mhm.
And they were doing a call for an anthology about like bug horror, right? And I like assignments, you feel me? With
Mhm.
writing and stuff. So I was like, all right, bet, let me do this, right? And I was like, how can I incorporate that? But all right, let me make it about prison too. So shit is just like that. I'll just like pick, some like factors and be like, all right, how do I put this together? I mean, that's how the title Fetty on the Switch is like the way I wrote that short story, the title story, right? I was like, all right, how do I write a story that's got fentanyl and Glock switches in it, but ain't got nothing to do with fentanyl or Glock switches. You
Oh,
see what I'm
you
saying?
succeeded, yeah.
So shit like that, just trying to put stuff together, you know?
Yeah, and well, I love, like, in that Glock Dookie story too, like, there's that part where, like, right at the beginning where Scarface says, like, "Prison is just this really, like, absurd, stupid place," you know? And so, to throw a 10-foot gall wasp in there and then have them having these, like, philosophical discussions about, like, freedom and life and all this kinda stuff, it seems like, 1, the perfect setting and, like, just a really cool way to explore, like, what it means even to be, like, human, really.
See, people throw that word Lynchian
Mm,
around about
mhm.
like media and books and
I
things.
almost felt Kafkaesque more, like it, like, had some metamorphosis feel to me almost.
Well, that's yeah, I fuck with that, but I feel like prison is the most Lynchian place.
Yeah.
Like people throw that around for some, but I feel like 'cause it's just, like, there's just so many absurd, like, rules and things.
Mm.
If I don't know how else to say, it's just very strange behaviors enforced by the, like, true toxic masculinity, you know,
Yeah.
where like violence reigns supreme. You feel me? And
Mhm.
it's the only form of currency. Like there's so many absurd things. So yeah, I feel like a 10-foot wasp, it's not that unusual. There's a lot of absurd things going on in prison, you know?
Yeah, and you kinda explore that in the final story, Archipelago, too, where it is, like, just this kind of, like, absurd, like, vaguely like, everything's just vaguely menacing at all times, and it's like, to live in that state of, I could have to do something really violent or something really absurd and funny could happen all in the space of, like, a couple seconds. Such a like, a heightened emotional experience at all times and really boring, which seems like just the strangest thing.
Man, you know, when you're in a bad environment, whether it's prison or a rough neighborhood or poverty, that's kind of what it's like. It's like long periods of boredom interrupted by extreme violence or extreme humor.
Mm,
And I love to explore that. I love to explore that. I think the unpredictableness of it, the lack of explanation, I think that's where the true horror comes in. You know what I'm saying? We already know that there's bad people out there and there's bad things and they're gonna do bad stuff to people, right?
yep.
But it's the not knowing when it's gonna be good or bad or earnest or depraved or what, and it's just the unpredictable nature, I think I like to explore that. I think that's the scary part.
There's so many scary aspects to that, and I think for myself, I often think about, like, what would happen if I was in prison? How would I pass the time? I don't know why that's so scary to me to just think of, just, like, kind of frictionless, almost like when we were in COVID, it was like, "What's the point? What are you doing? Why are and then you're in that and it just, like, day after day after day, and then, depending upon who you get as your CO, there's been plenty of studies and things like that gone done over of just how behavior can change when you're in a position of power and things like that, but when you're saying it's just intense periods of boredom and things like that, I mean, sometimes I get myself into the, like, "Okay, I would try to sleep," or, "Hopefully I could get the book program." Like, I don't know why
Mhm.
I'm problem solving for this, but I think about it because it just seems, like, cruel and unusual, like, inhumane in so many ways, and, Adam, help remind me of I cannot think of the name of the movie right now that I wanna bring up.
Sing Sing.
Yes. Are you familiar with that? Have you seen that movie?
I haven't.
My god. I think it's like, between that, like, it is one maybe that and Sinners, like, I mean, they're completely
Mm.
different, but it's describing what you're talking about, so it's all about the actual program to help prevent recidivism, which I
At
know
Sing
you're
Sing in New York s yeah.
that I know you're, like, a
Mhm.
proponent for too and bringing, the
Right.
books in and whatnot, but what they do is they have an entire theater program that you come in and all the prisoners, like, work forever on participating. It changes them. It, like, quells, a lot of that you're saying of just that testosterone, the behaviors and the changes because of suddenly there's purpose, there's something to do, there's camaraderie, there's community. Some of the people that were like, I used to be, they're telling stories and they're like, I used to be so angry. Like I just wanted to hurt people every day in here. But like now that, I got this to look forward to, like I want to act right so that, and like it's just a lot of, anyway, it's a true story. They have done this program around many different prisons, but even the actors that are in the movie right now
Were
are
for real
uh,
former people
yeah,
that participated,
and the
yeah.
way that they've just helped to continue to, and getting out and that, change, of losing people as they get out before you. I mean, I just think it's one of the most powerful if you've ever liked I don't think it's not like Shawshank in any way, but if you like a story that shows,
Hope and change
I
within that
guess
system, I guess.
yes, I guess that would be what I would say, but
Yeah.
way, way better. I personally couldn't. But that's what I feel like when you're showing some of these things of just when you're in there day after day and how it feels and the personalities that you're coming across.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good opening, like, because we wanted to ask about, books to prisoners, because I know it's in your bio at the end of the book. How did you get hooked up with that, and just sort of, like, how can people support it, and what's it all
I
about?
would say, how can I join? Because that has been on something I've been wanting to do. I want to like go in and read to prisoners and actually bring in books and have like a group study.
I would love to be able to do that too, what you just suggested. I don't know how to do that. I know with books to prisoners, what I did is I just searched online for any, and this was like earlier on in my career when I first started writing. So I say like 2021, right? That's when I first like started sending out stories and shit like that. So I I was like, how can I get involved with this? Because when I put my first book out, I want to make sure it's in all the prisons, right?
Yeah.
Cause I would have wanted to have that, and that would be tight. I reach out to a lot of different places, and I had the most success with books to prisoners. They they have like a limited warehouse space of where they can store the materials you send them. So you just have to reach out to them on their website and ask if they're, accepting books, and then you get a package together for them, and you ship it out to them, and they distribute it through various through prisons.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
I read th a I guess you would call it like, recently put out it's like a self-help book, but it's not. It's like stories of change and overcome. And the second story in the book is about this guy who was just a young guy, like 14, 15, was always straight-laced, never do anything wrong. And at one point, he was just kinda like, "Fuck it," with his friends, and he was like, "I'm gonna do some bad shit." Of course, that's the night he gets caught. He gets the book thrown at him, as a young black man, put into prison at, like, 16, and somebody was kind enough to tell him about the books. Like, this is a true story, is what I'm saying,
Mhm.
about the
Mhm.
books, and they start sending him books, and he starts reading all this stuff, and he gets so it's like his life, and eventually, like, he gets so educated and he eventually gets out. Now, like, long story short, he becomes like this doctorate and or he becomes like a lawyer and he gets like the highest degree and whatever, and he now like tries to like really give back and shows like how much reading and understanding all this like just changed his whole life and the lives of prisoners in there. So that was really inspiring to me, but it was just showing that no matter how smart and how good, and he's this successful lawyer and all these things, that people are still like, "Yeah, I don't wanna rent to you. I don't wanna talk to you because you were a felon." And it's like, you've
Mhm.
done the time. He's all these things. I mean, he went to, like, these prestigious schools afterwards, and it was like, even though he was smart enough to pass the bar, they're like, "We still have to evaluate you to see if we're willing to let you," like, just the tax that you have to continue to pay.
Yeah.
It was a very motivational story, but I'm just saying, like, seeing how this pipeline of books just can change a person from, okay, are they gonna stay in there? Are they gonna be miserable? Are they gonna grow as a person? And just providing that lifeline. I think because I have that fear of
Mhm.
what would I do with myself, it's very plus I do have a degree in criminal justice, and I do believe deeply in rehabilitation and, helping with the recidivism already, but I think that knowing that when you're in there, that this is your life. I mean, it's days of your life going through, and getting a like you said, getting a quality of book like you have, wouldn't you want you just cherish it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, and what's also interesting is a lot of these places, right? When you link up with them to send books to, they show you what books they're currently interested in, like genre wise and
Mm.
getting. And one genre that always shows up is our genre. It's
Yeah.
always horror and fantasy, and then like role playing, like game stuff, like, things like that, like, lit RPGs, I think it's called.
Okay.
And then you'll see them say stuff like straight up, I've seen them say stuff like, "We are not accepting any more self-help books or religious texts,
Yeah.
but we are accepting fantasy, horror," and I'm like, "Oh shit, that's my ministry. Let me
Mhm.
hook y'all up." You feel me? So, like, I think that's cool for us, and obviously that means there's a big demand of readers for what we do, and
Well,
and that's
I would
cool.
love to hook up with you all after this podcast and talk
Yeah,
about
for
some of those
sure.
things, because you just said the words that you, as a writer, obviously you help me fulfill what I'm trying to say. That's my ministry. The way that you said is like, that's what that feels like to me. That feels like ministry and love and care in a way that I can give something back.
Right, right. It's something, just because we write horror or fantasy or sci-fi or crime, and that is considered, I guess, transgressive might be the word for it. It's entertainment, and it's a light for somebody else to enjoy, and it's enriching for their brain. You feel me? I don't see.
We always say though that like horror looks at the ugly things in life, and people that are within the prison system have seen the ugly things in life. As of I think many people, but the white picket, white American dream is not for the majority of people in this, it's for a group of elite, certain group of people that get access to this. And then there's different levels, or, if you'd read like the Cast the book by
Angela
Wilkerson.
Davis. Or Isabel
Yeah,
Wilkerson, yeah.
that, like, there are caste systems within America too,
Mhm.
not just and that's what I'm saying is, like, for most people, they're not having these social experiences that just how you harken back to the Dundalk school, right? And
Mhm.
so when they are in, like, the prison system, it's they didn't necessarily like deserve to be there. It's like they're a product of they're just where they were born.
Yeah,
They
I
might not
also
have even had to do anything. When you read, let me finish my thought here. 10 seconds. It's gonna come to me. I'm thinking of the new Jim Crow, and they were just
mhm.
talking about how adverse the sentencing rules are against, especially black and brown people, and in these, and just it's so unfair. It's already like tilted and whatever. And so when my thing is if you give a horror story and you're able to actually look at horrors of real things and it doesn't put this American sheen on it, or this patina of everything's fine and everything's happy and good. It like looks at the realities of the bullshit that actually happens. I think that's where there's comfort and hope and feel good, and that's probably more rehabilitative than a religious book and a self-help book.
Mm, that's a good point. Those are all good points too.
I think that also, like, the assumption that, knowing what we know about the justice system as, in quotes, the assumption that people need to be rehabilitated that are there in the first place. Like a lot of times, this might be an issue of, addiction and all of these
That's
different things,
exactly it.
and assuming that they were guilty of the crime that happened in the first place.
Absolutely.
So, like, it's almost more of an issue, when it comes to recidivism or when it comes to anything, it's because hope has been taken away, right? And whether it's hope of getting out or whether it's hope of what's going to be waiting for you when you do, something like this in a book, especially books that are about the places that people can relate to and circumstances people can relate to can give like a hope and a lifeline way more than other things can, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I think also people who wanna read horror should be able to read more people that they recognize in
Yes.
in the writing, right? So whether it's how, like you said, you were like, the way these people talk in Eradicator is like how me and my friends talk, how you and your wife how y'all talk, you feel me?
Mhm.
So, but I wrote it that way because that's how me and my folks talk, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And then, like and the thing is, like, I think that can be good. I think it can be good in horror to have a haunted high-rise building rather than a haunted mansion like in that movie Insidious. I was watching that shit the other day with my wife and daughter while my wife was taking out my daughter's hair, right?
Mhm.
And we were watching it, and I was like, "God damn, yo, I want y'all to know, if our house was like that and that shit got haunted, and one of our kids was put in a haunted, insidious coma, we still staying in that motherfucker, cause that house is like, are you fucking playing? That shit is like a million, 1.5. Stop playing with me." So, like, what I'm saying is sometimes it's good to see, like, a haunted apartment building
Yeah.
maybe, or something that's maybe more familiar, or like or a haunted prison cell, or a
Mhm.
haunted job, an office job, or a you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
you're naming things. I'm like, you're
Yeah.
right,
I
exactly.
hope you're like writing down, okay, write a book about like
It's shocking. I mean, how many people have been living in that? Like, why wouldn't it be haunted?
Oh yeah.
Or like you said, the office space. Like, what? Capitalism. All like,
Well, I
why
think of
couldn't it
like,
be?
the few movies I've seen, like the Italian movie Demons 2 is in a high rise, or like the last Evil Dead movie, being in like a dilapidated apartment building. Like it
you know
added
what?
so much to them.
You know which one is like that? Barbarian, actually.
Yes, yes.
Yep. Barbarian's in the hood in Detroit, and she in
Right.
a fucked up Airbnb, and she can't
Mhm.
leave because she ain't got no money, and she
Yep,
ain't got no job, you know what I'm
yep.
saying? Like, I don't know, I think a
People can
lot of
relate to this a
Americans
lot
can
more, yeah.
relate to that.
Yep, definitely. So
I just wanted to say as an aside, there's a book out right now, or I think it's more in the thrillers, but it's called Best Offer Wins, and it's in the
Mm.
DC area, a DC neighborhood. And she's describing a lot of the things you're saying here, David, because she's like desperate to do no matter whatever the fuck she has to do to get a property,
mhm, right.
because that's kind of thing. She's like, I don't
7
give a
people died? Okay,
no,
I'll
she's
Right.
take
not.
it.
Listen, she kind of is like, if I have to murder to get what I need, I'll do it.
Mm,
And so, but I think that's so funny how you're like, oh, we're staying in this. And that's also kind of like
Yeah.
the premise of September House
oh,
as
yeah.
well, where she's like, I have waited for this house for a long
Mhm.
time. I don't care how
I don't
fucking
care if the
haunted it is.
walls bleed in September, I'm staying.
Yes.
Okay.
She's like, I'll make friends with all these ghosts. And she does. I love that stubbornness.
I have to say to relate also this, they're in Eradicate okay, let me set this up. Whenever we play a card game, my wife Rebecca plays one particular song every single time, and
Shit out of them with
she's
it.
she's unbeatable when the song is being played. And then in Eradicator, she throws this song on, and I couldn't help but just like say, "Okay, I like this guy," and that's "I Like That" by Janelle Monáe.
Yes, I always put Janelle on. She helps me win.
That's what you play? No
When I
way.
saw those
That's
lyrics, I was like,
cool.
"I know that song. I feel like I'm about to get my ass kicked in Uno now."
Yo, that is a good song that is just a great song in
It is
general.
such a great song, and
Yeah.
even, like, her song Yoga, and I mean, she done
Oh, I
made a
love
bad
Janelle
song.
Monáe, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
Janelle
Oh, yeah.
that's my song to whoop ass to when
Mhm.
we're playing cards for sure.
You wanna know some low-key Eradicator lore
Yeah.
Yeah.
for y'all and anybody listening? Yo, so when I sent that I wrote that book because I wanted to publish with Apocalypse Party, right?
Yes.
And I had just read Charlene Elsby's The Devil Thinks I'm Pretty and
Mm,
B.R. Yeager's, both his books, Burn You the Fuck Alive and Negative Space.
mm.
And I was like, I gotta put something out with Apocalypse Party. I need that revert cover. I need that Mike Correo interior art. I gotta do it. So I said, what I gotta write the bleakest, meanest, cruelest shit I can come up with. So I hit up Apocalypse Party. I was like, I got something. I get it to you in like a month and a half, 2 months. I'm almost done. So I send it to him, right? The name of the book was Janelle Monáe when I sent it
Oh,
to him. Yes. So cause I thought like that might be interesting to have, cause to have a book that's like, and it's not exactly explained why it would be named that, right?
mhm.
And something we talked about, he was like, "Nah, we gotta name it something else." And I'm glad we did. I feel it was more marketable by going with the name we did, but
Yeah.
the original name was gonna be Janelle Monáe for that book.
That's insane. Thank you for sharing that. That's too cool, and, like, I'm glad that you're saying, like, okay, it was a more marketable, but I love that, like, hearing the backstory to it.
Uh-huh.
It's so cool.
I also love that you
Thank you.
called, called out and sort of could understand the grift of a terrible white comedian
Oh,
before
Matt Rife?
everyone else did, and I was wondering if you'd heard anything from his people after your takedown of him in that book.
Yo, I ain't heard nothing about his people, but people be talking about my shit on like Reddit and Twitter, and I ain't gonna lie, man. I have an ego, so I be searching my name and
Okay,
shit.
Well,
sure.
I ain't finna lie. No, I only been writing for like for 5 years now, so like this shit is cool. You feel me? So I'm
mhm,
like, let me go see what people saying about my shit. And every so often, somebody be like, I can't tell if the author hates Matt Rife or like really likes him.
or if they're
Like,
friends or something.
yeah. Yeah, people saying shit like that, but nah, me, I just man, what it was for me is somebody at work was like, "You should check him out. He's funny." And I checked out like 5 minutes of it, and I was like, "Oh my god, is this what you think of me?"
Oh,
Like, for
Uh,
you to for like, not
for you
like,
to
for
say I
you to
would like it.
yeah, yeah, for or is it like, I didn't think you a piece of shit for liking it. I thought
oh,
you suggesting this to me, I must be a piece of shit. So I said, I'm finna light him up in this
Yeah,
book for no reason, just because of the association.
yeah.
You
Can
feel
you
me?
imagine having to pay to go see him though, and then finding out that way?
Bro, could you imagine? Yo, he's not funny, man.
I'd have
He's
been as
not
mad
funny.
as she as j
He's not funny, man, and I
and
still think
gross.
about it to this day. I don't even know that person no more like that. I just why they think of me like that, that I
Yeah.
would be the type of person that would like his comedy.
Well, it's funny the idea that you watch 5 minutes and, like, you so perfectly nailed, like, all of the issues around it, like, that was great. Like, I
Thank
thought
you.
that was hilarious. I have to ask, where did improvisational taxidermy come from?
Man, so, well, my sister is a psychologist, right?
Okay.
And so that story you talking about the
The
language of
language.
goats.
Yeah, for Brian Evanson, which I as soon as I saw that, I was like, "This is gonna be fucked up."
So Brian Emerson, I'm not immune to saying on every podcast that he's one of my favorite writers, if
Yes,
not my favorite writer. And
brilliant, brilliant writer.
brilliant. He the only he he can really make a scary short story, you feel me? So, I'm like, I wanna make a scary short story, just a disturbing one,
Mhm.
something like what he would do, and I wanna fuck with my sister, who's a psychologist. So, I was like, "Yo, Imma write some shit where a psychologist gets fucking attacked by the patient and
Oh
shit like
my
that."
god.
I'm like, "Let me work this out, make it real creepy." So, I hit up my sister, I'm like, "Yo, I'm writing something for you." She's like, "Oh, that's great." And I'm like, "Can you help me with it?" She's like, "Yeah, of course." I'm like, "Yo, what's some books that you got on your shelf?" And that's when she tell me, like, the women who run with wolves or
Uh-huh.
whatever, you
Yep.
feel me? And I'm like, "I bet." And I'm going right in that joint, and then I send it back, I'm like, "This is for you." I love my sister, you know what I'm saying? That shit was
Oh,
Oh,
fire.
I
man.
love that you did that.
I hope she was honored.
But side note, I have wanted to read the
She
Where
like,
Nature
"What the
Meets
fuck?"
Rules for a long time. Like, I hear it's so good.
Well, it's so funny because both in that book so when so the guy, as you're saying, like, he's looking and it's all these books that would like, obviously, that your sister has as a therapist or psychologist would normally have on their shelves, and then there's improvisational taxidermy on this therapist shelf too, and I love that his react like, the guy's like, "What the fuck do you have that book on for?" And it reminds me kind of in Fetty on the Switches too, and I feel like this happens sometimes, and you don't know how to react where something crazy happens, you call them on it, and they're like, yeah, that's there."
Yes,
Like, what do you do then? Because you
but
expect
that
them to be like,
stuff
"Oh, yeah," because like, the doctor's like, "Yeah, you're in the seat now. I came in that door. What are you talking about? I just got here." You know, and it's like, what do you do then? Because you're like, "Wait, am I crazy?" Like,
yes, you
it just
can't beat
goes
a
wrong.
defeated response. You can't
Yes,
beat that. I mean, you must have obviously experienced this multiple times. It
yeah,
happens in real life and it's horrifying and you think about it for the rest of your life. I mean, in the story you talk about, Language of Goats, there's
mhm.
a part where the main character asks another doctor or asks somebody, I forgot exactly, like about if that book is their book, and they're like, "God, no, why would I? I'm a
Yes,
pescatarian," right? That's
uh-huh.
real, bro. That shit happened.
But it's like,
That
"It's
shit
in your
happened.
office. This is your office. Who put it
Yes.
there?"
In real life, I've had somebody tell me when I asked them a question that had nothing to do with food or anything, any way to answer it, somebody who only eat fish. And they looked at me and they said, "Goodness, no, I'm a pescatarian," and laughed at me like I was stupid and out of place. And I ain't never stopped thinking of that shit. And that shit was years ago.
I'm so glad other people have experienced this because
Yes.
yes, and I don't know, maybe it's because, like, you're in, the medical field and I'm a teacher, so I feel like we just kinda talk to more people, like, in those
Yeah,
fields.
that's it.
So,
That's
like,
it.
we get, like, these it's just this kind of weird, like, gaslighting adjacent kinda stuff that happens, and you're like, "Did that just happen? Like, what?" Like,
You know how you can heal yourself?
please.
You gotta put it on somebody else, like the movie The Ring?
I was
Where,
gonna
like
say it's like taping the video in the ring.
yes, it works though, but then also you feel bad about it too,
Yes.
because you know what you did to them, and the
Don't do it to
most
your dad, but
yeah, yeah, you're right, but you can that's the thing, if somebody hits you with it and it's weighing too hard on your soul, right, and on your chest, then just when you in the grocery store sometime, and you in the fruit section, right, where the grapes and the blueberries are, right, you know what I'm talking about?
yes.
And just go right up to the motherfucking cotton candy grapes or the blueberries, and if there's somebody next to you, be like, "Do you mind if I take some grapes?" And just say it to a stranger, and then they're gonna be like, "What the fuck? These aren't my grapes." But they're gonna answer you like they're gonna be like, yeah, sure." And then you gotta be like, "Thanks," and then walk away. You'll be good, you'll
Uh,
be good, but
that's
once you start
amazing.
doing it, you can't stop. It's like dope, so you gotta be careful with it. That's
Alright.
the only thing.
So I know what we're doing after this then, is what
Let's
I'm
do it.
saying,
Let's
yeah.
do it. Record it.
So
Do it, man. Do it, man. You will feel good for a little bit, then you feel bad. That's the only
oh,
thing.
especially if they kinda, like, stare after you do it, like, you
Yep,
fuck their whole day up now.
yep, and you will. You will.
Oh my god, that is amazing.
Mhm.
I love that.
This is
So
crazy. I want to ask you too. I've been thinking about this whole time. Where are you? Like, you have such a beautiful accent. I feel like I hear Southern.
Baltimore.
Baltimore, just
No,
Baltimore.
no, no, no,
Yes.
no. That is not like he sounds so similar to your dad from Tennessee.
Well, there is a little so,
I'm
okay,
sitting here
so
the
I
whole
went
time
to
listening to David. I'm like, he and your dad had this beautiful flow, and like, and I don't listen. I really don't hear Baltimore.
oh, no, because
I
it's
hear your
funny.
dad.
I went to I'm from DC, I went to DC public schools, almost every teacher was from DC. Our swim coach was from Baltimore.
I love this story.
And that's how he sounded, and he was the funniest, like, he did not take shit from anyone, everyone was a Bama to him, and, like, like, he would not, like it was great, and I'm like, "Yes, that to me, like, that was always ball," and he would always play like, when we're getting changed and everything for swim class, he was always playing Baltimore club music, so watch out for the big girls and all, like, Postman, all those things, like, it would we be playing, like, in our stuff, so that's, like, because DC, it was always Go-Go versus Baltimore
Sure.
club music, so, like, everyone else was playing that, and we'd go in there, and everybody like, "God damn it, Coach Killen, why are you playing Baltimore?"
Mhm.
Like, "This is DC," so, like, when I hear him, like, I feel like I need to go get my swim trunks on, so
You do hear that though, right?
no, I don't hear
I
that's so
do. It's
funny.
like I'm like he is from like
No,
watch. He's gonna have a connection to Tennessee because I hear it.
no.
Like, hey,
Rebecca, I'll tell you though, Rebecca, whenever I've gone out of town though and stuff like that, people have asked me at different times, like if I'm from the South somewhere. So I get it. It's not the first time I've had that, you
hey,
know.
like it's not every word, but there's hints of it. Thank you. Like I don't know. I hope I didn't like I feel stupid saying that because
I mean,
I
No, no,
technically,
no, 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 no,
South
no. I don't.
South still, it's below the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah, that's what.
it really has
Mhm.
like I'm like oh this is such a
And so, yes, definitely.
I was like it's
But
really not a
I
coincidence.
wanted to make sure to bring up because Sean Taylor's death fucked me up really
Yes.
bad.
Mm.
And because of how, like, it's tragic what happened, period, but to get shot in the leg and to
How
die,
absurd.
it was
How
just
absurd.
I think about it all the time and think about how he should be in the Hall of Fame right now.
Sucks.
Like, all of these things, like, he was my favorite player, like, as soon as he got drafted, I've been a Washington fan since, the '80s, since Doug Williams,
Mhm.
so, like, yeah, I just the story and, like, the way that it talked about it and then tied it to sort of, like, the way that you did to this kid and everything that happened there, like, where did that come from for you?
I wanted to write a story about these called ACEs, like adverse
Yes.
childhood yeah, so
Yeah,
I
that's up
wanted to
my alley. I love reading about that because it
I
makes
wanted to combine them
things.
all, like, in one, like, all of them in one, like, I wanted
Mhm,
to combine as many as I could, so I got, this child, right, and he's in this apartment, right, there's a man there, you know what I'm saying, who's on,
mhm,
hooked on dope. His mother's in the bedroom, might be asleep, might not be alive, we don't really
mhm.
know, you feel me? And, when it all come down, eventually CPS is gonna come and put him in a place where he's gonna get, fucked with. So
And he already has been like,
yeah,
before.
Yes.
exactly. So we got a rough setup, right? And then to me, Sean Taylor, right? And I'm not even a huge, like, football or sports guy in general,
Mhm,
but he was kinda like, like a perfect athlete as far
mhm,
as, like, not just being great, but not having scandals and such. You feel what
mhm.
I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
that's important for a kid to look up to, you
yeah,
know? And, his death was so, so absurd, you know what I mean? Like you said, the way it went down, like, yes, I understand there's a big artery there, but
yeah.
how often do you see,
Someone get shot there. The fact that he
Yeah,
shouldn't have been there, it was just because he was injured that he was even home, like, so many things about that.
yes.
Yeah.
And the speed of it all, the fact that,
Mhm.
like, that injury in and of itself, once it happens, that's it.
Yeah,
There's no way to stop it. And that story actually. Yo, Adam, I'm not gonna lie, Rebecca, I'm not gonna lie. That joint, I was actually trying to be a little metaphorical with it. With that
mm,
one,
Right.
I was trying to give them a little themes. I was trying to be like, once you get stabbed in that artery, you're dead.
and
Unless you're literally in the trauma room and they can stop it immediately when it happens,
yep,
you're done. And if you grow up in that kind of environment, that's it. You are stabbed in the artery. There's no way. I don't believe. I mean, yeah, there are outlier cases, but I don't believe there's a way to make it out of a situation as tough as the one in that story
yeah,
without like death or imprisonment or repeating the cycle and then abusing the next kid. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm less optimistic to that. I don't see a way out of it. So that's what brought that together for me.
I am fascinated by the ACE score and also just how, like, you would think watching your parent be taken off to prison would give you a higher ACE score than, like, verbal abuse in the household, but, like, it doesn't. It's just, like, 1 to 1. Um,
Mm,
and it's just crazy because but the more, environments, the more areas, like, all of this comes back into and, like, again, where you're born, who you're born with, the environment, the behavior, all those things, it comes in and just it's so sad to me because, everybody just says, you have little kids and we have kids, and it's like, I think this baby's just born, its world is perfect,
Mhm.
it's just doing its thing, and it's like and he just experiences all the things, and then, you inevitably need to get comfort seeking behaviors, and that could be okay, I want community, so I'm going to join a gang. I want to feel less pain, I'm going to start doing drugs. It's like it's just a natural thing to not to want to be in pain, and yet we have villainized and criminalized so many of these things, and so I just feel like these are this is a society issue of
Mhm.
how we leave so many behind and allow things to happen. And then, they go into foster care. And I mean, I think it was some statistic of like 80% of the prison population have had some stint in foster care.
right, right. That would probably so that to me is an area that needs to have some major reforms because a lot of the horror stories that I've heard, like real life horror stories from people, happen in those places rather than necessarily the county or city jails or the prisons. You feel
Yeah.
me? Like the boredom and the violence here and there, that's gonna happen in the prison systems. But it's the juvenile facilities and the foster cares and these centers. Those are the places where, like, what you're talking about, the verbal abuse, and there's just so much that happens, the physical abuse. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot slips through the cracks there. And when you do that, instead of like setting up these children for success, you're like weaponizing them to go out and hurt each other and
Yeah.
themselves. You
Yeah.
feel me? Like, and you giving them all the tools to do it too, because I can tell you like this, when I got locked up the first time when I was a kid, all I knew about was, like, selling weed, and all I could do was, like, break a half ounce down and, like, every so often, like, make a couple bucks. By the time I got out, I knew how to cook crack, so
You know what? I
you know what
mean,
I'm saying? So
absolutely. It's a huge part of making that decision. And I think that's a big part around like why they ask for community boards to take juveniles and not put them into the prison system because not only do they get the label, but then they get exposure to
right,
stronger things.
sure.
There's so much. But yeah, I think you and I could talk about this for a long time
Oh,
because
yeah.
I love all this, but I just want to go back to the Sean Taylor thing
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
um now, like I said, I live in New York, and if you live in New York, you tend to go and follow all the Baltimore sports, whether it's
Mostly,
the
yeah.
Oriole or the
Mhm.
Ravens. So not only after Sean Taylor died, then you guys finally get RG3 and wash
And Ravens
and
break his leg.
him up, and I became a Ravens fan simply for the defense. I was like,
Ed Reed's probably my second favorite
I'm
player of all
like,
time.
I just remember always having watched football, and I'm like, I really don't care which
Mhm.
team I have or do I like the and it's like the first time I remember seeing Baltimore play and their defense just fucking people up on the field. I was an instant fan.
I think there's something so Baltimore about those
It's
teams,
so
like, to
good.
me. I don't know. They just took on the personality of the city, I feel
Oh
like.
my god. So what I just feel bad because not only after Sean Taylor's death, then we fucked up RG3. It's like your
Mhm.
chances have never been good.
Look, that's being a
Um,
Washington fan. Like,
yeah,
that's just my life. Like, we've been that way for since '92, it's been that way. It's okay.
you
So,
guys are resilient though.
yeah. Oh,
I'm glad,
that's true,
yeah.
that's true.
Don't know who you are right now.
Well,
Back.
as long as Jaden Daniels is okay, he didn't go RG3 it. But, the last one I wanna talk about, okay, so recently in national and world events, we have a president that wants to get celebrated for the fact that something didn't happen that he threatened to do. And all I could think about is in your story whole time, but how the government, FEMA, is acting like they're doing this wonderful thing for people, giving them money for this horrible thing that they caused or at least allowed to have happen, right?
Right,
And so,
exactly.
like, all I could think about is this sort of like gaslighting of people in power of the people that they are essentially like abusing and then giving them something really small after really fucking them up and expecting people to just be happy about it, you know?
Yes, yes, and also it's a
Yeah.
symbiotic relationship because I've been in situations with people who have nothing where the government comes and gives you half of what your house is worth to
Mm.
knock it down and make the national stadium. You
Yeah.
feel me?
Right.
Like, so part of the reason that story is one of the few stories in that collection that's not set in Baltimore. That
Mhm.
one's set in DC.
Yeah.
So the reason for that is because that one, yeah. So that one I'm trying to kind of make a point. So yeah, basically, that story, right? Like I told you, it always comes from somebody saying something to me in real life, right?
Yes.
And my best friend is from DC, born and raised east of the river off
Mhm.
Good Hope Road in
Okay.
Anacostia. He's my best friend. And he would say that opening line. He would
Where do you go to
say
high school?
he went to school at Duke Ellington.
Oh,
Are
okay.
you serious?
My
So
best friend's mother taught there.
Yes, he's a very, very well-known tattoo artist
Okay.
in the area. He's got a couple shops called Top Dog Tattoos, and,
Ah,
he went to Duke Ellington,
yeah.
on an art scholarship, I think it
Okay.
was.
I went to Hardy Middle School, which is like 2 blocks from Duke Ellington, so
Okay, got you. So he would, that's something he would say. He would be like, "Yeah, I grew up drinking the lead tap water, so I can't die. I can
mhm.
have unprotected sex. I can take bullet shot." Like that's what he would say. He'd be like, "I
Yeah.
can win any fight." Like that was his thing that he said, and I thought it was so funny. So I hit him with, I'm gonna put you in a book." You feel me? So he would say that when we were younger. So I wrote that story, but it got me thinking like how, once again, the absurdity of that, like to know that there was a lead tap water
Mhm.
epidemic, to
Yeah.
know that
We would
you
have
drank it.
every now and again, we would have boil advisories for tap water, yeah, all the time when they would find all the pipes were underwater and lead coated, and they would find that they'd broken down and, they would
Yep.
test it and say, "Okay, for the next 3 months, you have to boil your water before you drink it."
A lot of people believe this is what
Mhm.
made people so aggressive, right? Like the kids. And that's the thing about that story is it's like, what if my buddy, what if that was true? What if drinking the lead, what if the runoff in the Potomac River, what if all that shit that's there underneath the facade of a federal city, right? Underneath
Mhm.
the facade of Beach Drive and the gentrified Columbia Heights, like underneath all of that, there's people being poisoned and they're getting paid off to keep their mutations to themselves. You
Mm.
know what I
wow.
mean? So, I mean, it's happened. I mean, not necessarily the mutations and things in DC, but what I mean is if people got pushed out of DC for that stadium,
Yep.
for the Target on Georgia Avenue, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So, yeah.
Remember going down
I
on
remember going to see a lot of shows at Nation that got tore down right down there too, and, like, all the stores, like, you know, thinking about all the so many friends and people that not just their houses got tore down, but their taxes went up 7, 8 times within 2 or 3 years, and they couldn't afford their own houses anymore even though they were paid off because they couldn't afford the taxes.
Bro, I know you're gonna get this reference, yo, because you so DC. You gonna get this reference, yo. Check this out, right?
Yeah,
DC got changed so much that one of its most famous neighborhoods that people used to lie and say they were from when they weren't doesn't even exist anymore. Berry Farms.
Berry Farms, yeah. What
Yo,
was it?
so many people would lie
20
and say
years
they were
ago,
from
what,
there.
Gilbert Arenas was playing pickup games there, and now it doesn't exist. Like,
Yes, that's where they had the and one tournaments.
yeah, it's
That's what I'm
crazy.
saying, like, that was a
Mhm.
whole neighborhood. It's similar to Baltimore, how we have Park Heights, right?
Yeah,
Certain neighborhoods that are well known or notorious or whatever, so when you're in, when you're young or you're in situations where people are being competitive, they'll be like,
yeah,
"Yeah, I'm from blah, blah, blah,"
yeah, don't
and
fuck with me, I'm from Berry Farm, yeah.
right, and that joint don't even exist anymore, now it's
Yeah,
$1,000,000 townhouses, ain't
uh,
it?
well, I know even every time I don't go back as often as maybe I should or would or whatever, but it's mostly because it's sad,
It's
I
not
don't know where
there.
I'm at, like, the
It's not
places
even
that
there.
yeah, it's not. It's and even, like, the places that I love now, I go there and they're, like, shells of what they were, like, restaurants that no one goes to anymore. It's just weird.
Right, why is you even gonna drive from where you're at to go there? There's nothing there for you to go back to anymore,
Yeah,
they're not even there.
it's true.
Yeah, man.
Okay, but I still like doing it infrequently.
Yeah.
We
Well, the
still
museums are nice and,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, the
yeah.
Yeah,
arboretum and all that is nice and all
And it's
that, you
funny
know?
because growing up there, you never go to those places.
I'll make them take me to Guapos when we go down to DC.
Guapos, Cactus Cantina. I used to work at Cactus Cantina, so
Oh,
you
yeah,
go
like,
yeah,
that's, but
L'Oreal Plaza and
I Wait, L'Oreal Plaza don't exist anymore?
no, no, it's still there. That's the one few
But
places we
do
do
not
go.
scare him.
No, no, we do go, yeah.
okay.
'Cause
I'm about to
Cactus
say that used to
Cantina
be
and
the spot.
L'Oreal, yeah, they were owned by the same people, so I worked at Cactus, which is over but, like, near the cathedral, but, like, our, like, bonus would be gift cards to L'Oreal Plaza, so we would go over there.
We have had a really
Yeah,
good date
with some
drinking,
sangria
sangria,
pictures,
getting
yeah.
super drunk, and ate
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
tacos, and then walked
Walking
over and
around
saw that
DuPont.
Shakespeare
Mhm.
show.
Okay. Beautiful part of town. Well, I'm glad to hear that area is still is
And
it
I
still
mean,
the
I can't
same?
speak for it right, let me look at because
Chicago where
that was a while ago, so
yeah. Mm.
Maybe it's gone.
I mean, we went to Cactus, uh, last spring, and it was still there. Yeah, L'Oreal Plaza's still there, okay, good to
Okay,
know.
I
good.
mean, it is so fun to go down there. I
It is.
really like it, but,
No, it
you
is a
know,
good show.
I know for you, if I was from there, I'd be sad. I can
Mhm.
absolutely understand why you feel that way.
Yeah,
Like, at the same time, it's like,
long enough for the Barnes& and Noble to have been built, closed, and now be there again in Georgetown.
Shit, that's funny.
well, yeah, gotta tell you, it's been the best time.
Yeah,
Thoroughly enjoyed having you on. I love this book.
Thank you.
I just can't get over how cool your writing is, how much I'm laughing at it. Like, I just feel like it's something that, I don't know, at some point I think it'd be hilarious to, like, set you up to just read these stories to people.
if you
Like
haven't
it's
seen a David Simmons reading, you haven't
I have not,
experienced
and I really would like to, just because 'cause I'm like, it's so funny. Me reading it, I gotta see how he takes it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, where can I find this David Simmons reading? Is it on YouTube? Where am I seeing this?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hold on one second. One of my daughters just walked down here.
Hello,
Alright.
welcome to the
Yes, my bad. So,
No,
what'd you
we
say
love books
about the reading?
and cats,
Tell me
dog.
again. Tell
Do
me
you
again.
have
What
any,
did you
like, places
Yes.
so, obviously, this book is coming out June 30th. Are you gonna be at, like, Stoker or doing any, like, events for the book?
Okay, got you. Now I got you. Okay, so yeah, I actually let's see. So I have a reading coming up with Clash and Kyle Curry. I'm trying to find the date so I can tell y'all what it is and where it is. It's in July. Okay, in July in July 10th in Connecticut. I'm gonna be doing a reading at Lupoletto's Brewing Company.
Okay.
So I got that coming up. And I know I got some more shit I'm gonna be doing. And then of course we got the Baltimore Book Festival, and that's gonna be and VoidCon, which are gonna both be in September and October.
Okay.
So I got that coming up. I'm trying to see. My bad, y'all. I'm looking through my calendar as
No,
we do
no.
this. And I have the Dark Reads Book Festival, which is at the Framingham, Massachusetts Public Library. I'm trying to
We have
find where
been
that
there.
is.
Lovely.
Okay. I have never been to Framingham, Massachusetts. I'm trying to find it.
It's
It's
outside of
at
Boston.
Yes, here we go. That's August 8th. So I got
Okay.
that coming up.
Nice.
Yep.
So, we'll definitely have to come down to Baltimore to see you, for some of these,
Oh my god,
definitely.
yeah.
Top Dog Hill, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Alright,
And
that's where you
thank
can
you for
find
having me on here. Thank you.
Thank
absolutely. It
you.
was
Welcome
absolutely a
back.
pleasure, and yep, thank you. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Go play yourself
You
some
too.
tennis.
And
Yes,
shout out to Clash for linking us up and all that. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
absolutely.
Talk to
Yep.
y'all soon. Y'all be safe, all right? Thank you.